Hello, welcome to a new edition of Education is the Best Medicine. We're in our new digs here at the downtown Oakland office. Want to thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Always we have some technical difficulties, and I'm going to run our intro at the end of the show. So thank you for tuning in. This is our new um, um, site in downtown Oakland. Again, afternoon. I'm George Pearson. I'm a physician's assistant, and this is Education is the Best Medicine, brought to you by the Eyes of Conscious Soul and Believe Radio, 2-hour radio, Inspiration Gospel channel. I want to thank Curtis for helping with getting the show started. Just learning the new technicals is always a learning experience. So I wanted to say this would have been our first show of May, but it's our second show, and I wanted to share with all the mothers a happy belated Mother's Day. We weren't able to come on last week, and for that I apologize, and I want to again say happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers that are on the planet, by the way. So I don't think there's anything you can do without being a mother involved, and there's some things that, without mothers, it just don't happen, like your birth. So I always emphasize to people that we think we can do without women. Try looking at yourself and see what happens. And even in this technological reproductive cycle, transfer of eggs to petri discs to grow, you still have to have that womb, have that home for that child to mature and grow in. So again, thank you. It's been a kind of an interesting year for me, and I want to say thank you to all the folks that have kind of shared this journey with me, and we'll be going over to about 2:30 just because we started late, and I want to thank you all for that. But want to again thank the folks that make this possible, and a special shout out to Dee Flanagan, her birthday today. Congrats. And may you have again another wonderful year moving forward in the career and all that kind of good stuff. I want to say thank all of you for supporting and being about this. I know it's an interesting endeavor. So the Mother's Day, let's talk about it in a belated sense. But, I always said that when I was able to do things like this, I wanted to do them because it's important. It's important that you honor the people that have honored and took care of you. And we've had to deal with a week of change and acceptance. And again, understanding that my mother was no longer here was really something that I had to deal with, and it got me to thinking about my mom and her loss and some of the things we can do to kind of deaden that pain, particularly on Mother's Day. I was really kind of tearful on Mother's Day for some reason, and I'm not a man that cries, but I was really tearful and thinking about her and all the things she had done and just the work she had put in. So again, if your mother's around, oh man, hug her, kiss her, tell her you love her, because you don't know when things change. Said, honoring her memory. Many people find solace in honoring the memory on Mother's Day. This might involve visiting the gravesite or a special offering, create a memorial. And I told myself, because it's been really hard for me to visit my mom's grave, that in the next 2 years, I'm going to visit her grave, and my stepdad's grave, and my dad's grave. Again, some things are hard. And if anyone says that things aren't hard, well, they're just not thinking about it. Want to say a special shout out to Jesse Collins and my son, Kenyatta Piston, who are watching. Thank you very much. Son, I don't think you can get any bigger. I don't think you get any bigger. How many push-ups are you doing? My goodness. Anyway, but just want to say thank you, son. Love you lots. Spending time with loved ones, being surrounded by family and friends who understand and share the grief that can provide a comfort for Mother's Day, and sharing memories and laughter and even tears, which is what I did in thinking about her. And engaging in self-care, which is, I think, really, really important in all perspectives now. Human beings, particularly women, need to engage in self-care. And I always say now, as a part of a lot of my clinical notes is take care of yourself so you can take care of somebody else. It's Anna Carice. Hello, Anna. How you doing? Thank you. Enjoy your post. Great friend. Great hairdresser. Now working in in city government. Hey, okay, keep it moving. Engaging in self-care, taking care of oneself emotionally and physically is important in during times of grief. And this might be involve activities like taking a walk. I exercise. I try to eat better. Mindfulness and meditation and relaxation is always good to do. Creating a few new traditions. Mine was to really honor my mother in my heart and mind, and she was a prime example of a giving, loving, accepting, sensitive, empathetic, understanding, strict person who happened to be my mom. And seeking support, in terms of grief. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about grief. When you're hurting, when it's painful, when it seems like it's like a difference between depression and grief, because grief kind of leads to depression, but you're sad first. You just can't seem to stop there. And that's the things that people need to watch in terms of mental health, overwhelming sadness, inability to move forward with what one needs to do. So again, it's things that are challenges that we have to grow with. And I say that from a standpoint of always having to grow and change in the things that I do and the person that I am. And I think that's been the most interesting part of my life, is that I had to grow and change and accept things the way they are, not the way I'd like them to be. Seeking support. Grief can be overwhelming, and it's okay to seek support from friends and family, or even a therapist. Talking about feelings and emotions with someone who understands this can be therapeutic. And, men really don't talk a lot. And I always say, when I see a man clinically, it's because his wife or his partner or his girlfriend or his children have told him to come in and get checked, because he is thinking slower, acting slower, more in pain, a little bit more angry, that kind of thing. In terms of expressing emotions. And again, this is a belated Mother's Day wish and gift to those that celebrated Mother's Days with their mothers, and those whose mothers has passed, and those whose mothers are not yet born. Seeking, again, expressing our emotions. It's hard for men, but we're going to have to learn how to do that. Why? Because I got 4 granddaughters, and so, this is not a football game or a basketball game or, raha. It's about young females and their needs, and understanding that they need to have a strong male, but sensitive male in their lives to help get in some of those blows and to protect them. I think the biggest thing that I've been told and I understand is that when mothers aren't in the home, there's a sense of loss of protection. You don't feel safe. Yeah. Expressing emotions, finding meaning. Some people find comfort in meaning and purpose in their loss, and that's understandable. And part of this whole mix for me in healthcare is to be able to help people deal with a lot of the emotional and psychological traumas that happen in chronic illness, they happen in chronic disease, that happen unexpectedly, whether it be an accident or sudden death or a murder even. How do people handle the unthinkable? And how do we handle this level of trauma and deal with it and deal with that grief? Um, and Mother's Day, let's not forget, is to we want to show gratitude to moms and mother figures for loving their children unconditionally and raising them with care and courage and grit and leading by the power of their example. I think that's a really good way to look at it. Um, and everyone copes with loss differently. I know I do. I know I have, and I know I will. And you got to find out what works best for you, and not be so hard on yourself. Not be so quick to be judgmental. Not be so. Uh, it's easy to talk about things when people are gone. It's harder to deal with it now in their real life experience. So I would say, don't wait for someone to die or for a loss to occur to feel like you should have talked to that person. You should be engaged in them now as best you can. But some people don't want to be engaged, and that's okay. You would have made the attempt. You would not have failed in the attempt to make it right. So, which got me to historical guidance. Origins of Mother's Day says Mother's Day, as we know, originated in the early 20th century in the United States. The modern holiday was largely a work of Anna Jarvis, who wanted to honor her mother. Anna Reeves Jarvis is a peace activist who cared for wounded soldiers on both the sides of the Civil War and advocated for public health. In 1908, Anna Jarvis held a memorial for her mother and pushed for a day dedicated to recognizing mother's sacrifices. Thank you, Miss Anna Jarvis. Thank you, Anna Reese Jarvis, for your contribution. By 1914, President Woodrow Wilson, which, man, I'm glad he did Mother's Day, because the track records for presidents and fairness and inclusion and all that kind of stuff, boy, some of the guys really took a beating. So anyway, but in 1914, Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation establishing Mother's Day as a national holiday on the second Sunday in May. Okay. However, Jarvis later became disillusioned with the commercialization of the holiday. Originally, her intent was for it to be a personal and heartfelt day of appreciation, not driven by car companies, florists, or the next new thing. Well, I tell you, haven't we got away far from Miss Anna Reed Jarvis's original intent for Mother's Day to be a day to celebrate mothers? Simple concept. And some of the traditional meanings for Mother's Day: honoring mothers and their role in family and society, and that recognize their sacrifices and efforts that mothers make, and expressing gratitude and love and personal in a sincere way. That's what moms do. That's what moms have done. That's what moms continue to do. No mothers are perfect. I had to realize my mom wasn't perfect, but she was perfect to me. I had to realize my dad and my stepdad weren't perfect, but they were perfect to me, and they were just the right people to be in my life. In recognition of all who mother, biological moms, adoptive moms, foster moms, grandmother moms, stepmoms, and I want to give a special shout out to the grandmothers, the grandparents, the grandmothers. There's been a period, I guess, in the last 30 years where grandmothers and extended family have had to step up and take care of children not their own and raise them like their own. And for that, if they're not a mother, I don't know what a mother is. You have to really be impressed with the mixed and blended families that are happening and how their globalization of love and family is kind of changing the dynamic. And again, you don't miss it till it's gone, but I really do understand how my mom nurtured and was empathetic and was a lap on the shoulder to cry on. Uh, so while the core of Mother Day remains about gratitude and love for motherly figures, its meaning has definitely grown more inclusive and adaptive over time. So again, biological moms, adoptive moms, foster moms, grandmoms, stepmoms, it all counts. They're mothers to me. And to not have this left without mothers, and I have to kind of wrap my head around concepts I want people to understand because they become a part of how I have discussions. But a definition is called, because of mothers, there's less of this problem, adverse childhood experiences. It's also thought of as adverse childhood trauma in regards to, it says, what is that? How do you define that? It says abuse, physical, emotional, or sexual, neglect, physical or emotional neglect, household dysfunction, domestic violence, substance abuse, mental illness, parental separation / divorce, incarceration of a household member, or of a dominant parent. All these things could lead to adverse childhood experiences, would lead to adverse childhood trauma, which lead to issues. I want to say a special shout out to my good friend Danny Cotton. He's in the recovery and business and has been really doing a large amount of work in recovery. Has a large recovery family that we, on his birthday, we went to. He had a nice birthday, no alcohol, kind of interesting. Which was kind of cool because I don't drink anymore. And it was interesting to see this group of men that probably in our 20s and 30s would have been drunk as skunks. Now, only the biggest thing there was a soda. And if those people drank, they drank, but Danny and I and the group of men that were pretty sober weren't drinking. That's kind of really interesting. It was a different dynamic. But I digress, as they say. Thank you, Danny. Keep the good work going. And so and also the science child trauma is a broader term that includes average child experience, but it can also cover traumatic experiences such as bullying, community violence, and natural disasters. So just think about the children that are being subject to the ravages of war, to homelessness, to sexual trauma, to slavery, sexual slavery, We are in 2025 to be talking about children in slavery, and it's somewhat disconcerting and saddening. These children should be thinking about, what prom dress they're going to wear, or what game they're going to be playing in, or what vacation they're going to take to learn something new, or what school they're going to go to. But that is sadly not the case. So the numbers, and the reason why I bring these things up is because we need to understand the foundations of human behavior. If we understand the foundations of human behavior, then we can make better decisions about our own self, but the self of our kids and our family, and be inclusive as exclusive. So according to the original CDC, it's a Kaiser Permanente study, said that 61% of adults report at least one estimate of adverse child experience, which means if you've got 100 people, 61 of them said that something happened in their childhood that changed their entire life. That's 3/4 of our group of people that's trying to function in a dysfunctional world. So from a dysfunctional family to those adverse childhood experiences in that dysfunctional family, and no family is without dysfunction, by the way, you get a group of experiences that some children thrive on and deal with, some can't. Some become a product of their environment and the trauma that goes with it. Substance abuse, sexual abuse, criminal activity. And some just say, hey, I just want to do this. So it says 16% reported 4 or more childhood adverse experience. So at least 61% or 60 people had at least one adverse child experience in life. And if you take that 16% of those that had one, they had at least four. They had 4 incidents of abuse, neglect, household dysfunction, domestic violence, substance abuse, being bullied. You haven't lived till you've been bullied. I can testify to that. And it changes your mindset about how people deal with you or how you're going to let them deal with you. Because once you put an end to a bully's issue, you never want it to happen again. You'll do everything you can not to have it happen again. So, of course, you're an aggressive, angry black man that walks around mad all the time. You should have been in my childhood and got bullied. Then you'd understand. The risk increased with the number of average child experiences. So the more average child experiences, and I just mentioned 4 of them, that a person has, the more likely they are to have problems. The more likely I can see it comes out in heart disease, it comes out in substance abuse, it comes out in broken marriages, it comes out in sexual abuse, it comes out in all those things. It says 4 more of these average child experiences equates to 2 times the risk of heart disease and cancer, 3 times the risk of depression, and 20 times the risk of suicide attempts. You see this really, it's huge in the LGBT community, in the trans community, where young women and men, regardless of their sexual selection, are deciding that because this world is so cruel, they can't understand who I am, because I really don't understand who I am. I'm working on me too. Then it's best that I not be here. And that's a sad testament to a human, to a society that says we are technologically and culturally advanced. We can send people to the moon, but we can't stop a young man or a young woman in their identity from killing themselves because it's not a comfortable environment for them to be in. The symptoms of childhood trauma or adverse childhood experiences. Emotional, it equates to anxiety, depression, anger, and emotional numbness. Behavior, aggression, withdrawal, risk-taking. Cognitive, attention problems, learning difficulties. Physical, frequent headaches, stomach aches, sleep problems. And just basically unhappy. So we have a lot of work to do because 61% of us have had at least one adverse child experience. If you're a person of color, I would bump that up to about 80, 90%, maybe even 95%. So we have a lot of work to do. Mothers have done this work for so long, try to heal and comfort and be empathetic to the trauma of a child. We have to be that good too and quit blaming. And for adults, so when the kids, us, have these average child experiences, 61%, with 16% having at least 4 of them, then we become adults, right? And adults have more post-traumatic stress disorder, which is an event that happens and it's so traumatic to you, you keep reliving it and remembering it on an ongoing. It's like a tape that never turns off in your head. Depression, anxiety, substance use disorders. Amazing at the amount of alcohol is being consumed by young women now because they have the money to do it. So where those men I was seeing were having alcoholic problems with alcohol, I'm seeing even more, a higher number of women because they have the money. And a discussion around, I'm an adult and you can't tell me what to do. So if parents are trying to direct that young woman or partners trying, they ain't hearing it because they're living the vita loca. Okay. So I think it's going to be really interesting because this group of young women and women in general are going to come to the same conclusion that men have, that it ain't worth it. It's not worth the trauma. It's not worth the issue. It's not worth your health. So we'll see. Things have a way of playing themselves out. Physical health, risky sex behavior, smoking, overeating, addiction. Physical health, so behavioral health, risky sexual behavior, smoking, overeating, addiction, and physical health, chronic illness, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Seeing so many young women now having maybe smoked 4 or 5 years are developing chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a destruction of the base membrane of the lung called the alveoli. And the alveoli is important in making gas exchanges between the blood and the tissues. Without them, you can't do it. So the alveoli sit like little grapes, and the blood comes by, and the alveoli pull the blood out and leave the garbage in, and it gets removed by coughing or sweating. You get the oxygenated blood, and the waste products are removed. But when you don't have that basement membrane, that exchange can't take place. Therefore, people start to get air hungry. They start having problems with fatigue, that kind of thing. So, and they've got a number of assessment tools, but again, with the physical health, autoimmune disorders occur. So everything happens more, everything's amped up when a human system has been traumatized and feel it's under attack. And so it does things to blunt that attack, to quiet that fear, that grief. So that's why that's why people are doing tobacco, alcohol at an ungodly rate. And a shortened lifespan. So we always ask why people of color, particularly African Americans, live longer than their white counterparts, and that those years have changed, but not that much. It's because of 20 years of living with adverse childhood trauma, which equates itself into physical, mental abuse, which equates itself into substance abuse, which equates itself into chronic illness or behavioral health problems, or the whole gamut. So they have some pretty good assessment tools, and there's a childhood trauma questionnaire, and there's a trauma symptom questionnaire. There are a lot of tools to kind of assess people on the level of trauma, and you can believe you me that we always come out the highest. Poor folk, people of color, English as a second language, LGBT, we always tend to have more problems. I want to thank you. This is Believe Radio, the 24-hour inspirational gospel music station. We are broadcasting in downtown Oakland. New KTVU. Hey, Dave Clark. Wow, he's a pretty cool guy. Check him out. Give him more stuff than he needs. But at the morning on 2, great group of folks there. And treatment approaches, of course, cognitive behavioral therapy is primary, and it helps one focus on that trauma and deal with it not in a portion and control section, because just dealing with sometimes is overwhelming. Just talking about it is overwhelming. So all these things have to be happen. It happens under a good therapist, a culturally competent therapist, to understand the need and the trauma and the fear of talking about these things in open and having them addressed. They've got different types of stuff where they desensitize eye movements, so you don't have rapid eye movements, thereby lowering your stress level, thereby relaxing you. Relaxation techniques, attachment-based therapy, this channel, and all these are integrated models. So one of the things that California doing is an integrated health model. So it's called No Closed Door. Although this present administration is giving them some, the discussion is that for a long time, providers like myself said that in order to really provide health care that did not break off or fall apart, you need to address a person's food, clothing, and shelter status, or it's now called social determinants. Social determinants equate if a person is going to get healthy or stay sick. By the food they're drinking, by their access to clean water, to a healthy level of activity, housing stability, financial stability, social interactions. All those things count in terms of this. So health is just not one thing. It's a multifactorial. Good health is multifactorial. It's just not the community. It's those in the community and how they believe that health is not just health is a right, not a privilege. So the implications for mental and physical health with adverse childhood experiences is neurological changes. They can alter brain development, especially in the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal area, which are all the functioning executive functions of the areas of the brain that get dislodged when trauma happens to it. Endocrine effects, dysregulation and stress, which makes you more elevated cortisol, which makes you more at risk of stress. So elevated cortisol levels signal the body's under attack. Immune system, chronic inflammation leading to diseases like heart disease and diabetes, and this overall sickness and fatigue. That's what COVID is. COVID really has attacks the immune system, and the overall issue with fatigue and brain fog that people can't throw are really, it's one of the hallmarks of the condition. And epigenetics, changes in gene expression from an environmental exposure that possibly pass trauma onto the next generation or intergenerational trauma. And the societal implications, many. Higher health costs, lower workplace productivity, and intergenerational transmission of trauma. When I first started kind of understanding that trauma just wasn't what you were feeling now, it just wasn't your hand on the hot stove. It's the discussion around coming to that same stove and burning yourself, even though you know it's hot. That's what intergenerational trauma. Because your parents couldn't deal with the trauma, now you expect your children to deal with the trauma, and their children deal with the trauma. If it's not designed for you to deal with it, it's designed to be a part of your everyday life. I was listening to this special on, and this is still Mother's Day, on young black men. How many black men have coddled and hugged their black children, their particular sons, only to send them out to have them murdered? And what trust do they have in the system now that their child is gone? And how the fear of them, I've seen how the feel of, how do we love black boys, and the part about being a young black boy to a young black man is that you're always under suspicion. And the example throughout this thing was done on Comcast called Loving Black Boys, I think it's called. The discussion about whether you were a young black man or older black man, you always had the experience of a white female clutching her purse as you walk by. And that kind of blew my mind. That a young black man walking down the street had the same experience that I've had as an older black man walking down the street. And could have no been more thinking about her purse than the man on the moon. Because I have a mother. Anyway. So again, some of the discussions around general depression and depression and generalized anxiety disorder and schizophrenia, and major depression, and the discussion around depression for me is just not, it's not that a person is sad, they are persistently sad and of low mood. They have a loss of interest in pleasure and activities they once enjoyed. Changes in appetite, either eating too much or eating too little. Disturbances of sleep, either sleeping too much or sleeping too little. Fatigue and loss of energy. Feeling the worthlessness and excessive guilt. Difficulty concentrating on and making major decisions. Suicide thoughts and behavior, which is the primary issue in any of this. We don't want anyone to hurt or harm themselves. And so when you're feeling this way, a majority of the folks that I've talked to would say, what's the use of me being here? I'm not even important. I can't do anything. It's best that I not be here. And I've heard it from a plethora of folks, young and old. And when they say that, call the whistles, get behavioral health in here, because this person's at risk of committing suicide. And we used to didn't talk about suicide the way we do now. When I first started practicing, we never said suicide because we thought the person would go do it. Well, the discussion is that they're going to do it if you don't talk about it and you had a chance to intervene. They say, I think a month before a person commits suicide, they've seen a healthcare provider or a major medical issue, heart attack, stroke, they've seen a healthcare provider. So we're still not doing a good job of identifying these things early on and trying to address them. As a prevention. I'm a preventive provider. I believe in the prevention model. Proactive as opposed to being reactive, because you waste time. I was at an interview and I was having a discussion around referral to cardiologists, and I do a lot of them because heart disease is the number one killer of Americans. Well, the discussion was, it's an expensive service, and why would you want to send somebody that didn't have outward signs of heart disease? Well, that's because by the time they have outward signs of heart disease, they just can't go to the cardiologist for a regular visit. They need to go to the emergency room, where when they walk through that door with a suspected heart attack or stroke, the price tag starts at $25,000, and let's keep it going. It could end up being $100,000. So, and I think never want to forget this Mother's Day thing. I want to thank the viewership and all you people who have made it here today, and in a special time. Hopefully, last week celebrate your mom's Mother's Day with your mom, if living. If not, celebrated her in peace and power. That's what I said. And I think that motherhood is a multifactorial concept that encompasses both biological and social dimensions. And biologically refers to the process of giving birth and nurturing offspring. However, its significance extends far beyond mere biological functions. The importance of mother's role in society and the world cannot be overstated. Mothers play a crucial role in the emotional intelligence and physical development of their children. From the earliest stages of infancy and through adulthood, mothers provide love, care, guidance, and support that shape the character of well-being of the children. So I think it's kind of amazing that that if we think women and mothers to be women and women to be mothers are that important, then they should have a decision about whether they want to carry into a child into the world or not. My granddaughters now live in a country outside of California that they have less health rights and less rights in general as a female. And I think that's absolutely scary. If we can trust women to have children, we should be able to trust them to have control over their bodies. It's just that simple. I don't think men want their genital organs controlled. They would be up in arms if they were told that they had to use their genital organs for anything but what they wanted to use them for. So, in addition, their direct influence on their children, mothers also contribute to the fabric of society in numerous ways. They often serve as a primary caregivers, educators, and moral compasses within their families. Their nurturing presence fosters stability and resilience within communities. Though do not mothers need support and help if they're doing all that? And I think they do. And times two, and times 3 and 4 and 5 and 10. Much, much more. I guess the only thing about my mom that kind of got me was that when I was playing sports, she came to one of my games, but she wasn't a sports person. So I got that. Sports was for me. Sports wasn't for her. But when I got home from sports, there was always a dinner there, or some fried chicken, or a meal, or just the fact that I could come to a house that I felt safe in. That was the best sporting event I could ever have. Um, Moreover, mothers often juggle multiple roles, balancing demands of parenthood and work and education and community involvement. Their ability to multitask, prioritize, and emphasize makes their invaluable in contribution to society's function. Without mothers, there would be no functioning society. Beyond the individual society and beyond the individual society and individual levels, the role of mothers has implications for the broader world. They are often at the forefront of advocating for social justice, human rights, and environmental sustainability. By instilling values of compassion, empathy, and responsibility in their children, mothers contribute to the creation of a more equitable and harmonious world. I think that's true. In essence, motherhood is not just a biological phenomenon, but a profound social and cultural force that shapes individuals, communities, and the world at large. The role of mothers in society is indispensable, and their contributions are fundamental to the well-being and the progress of the humanity. I think that's well said. Well, and it's a celebration. Mother's Day is a celebration honoring the mother of the family as well as the motherhood, maternal bonds, and influence of mothers in society. Here's a breakdown of who, what, when, where, and how of Mother Day. Okay, I told you this is a Mother's Day show. I want to thank my mom for being the woman that she was and who she was all that and more. She was a very intelligent woman. And I think that part of my love of education and learning comes from her and my uncle, Uncle Sam. That was her brother, and he was hands down brilliant. And I think about it and think about how he thought and what he thought about it, the way he thought about it. Just brilliant. Sometimes you're in the presence of greatness and don't know it. Mother's Day is celebrated by people all around the world to honor mothers, grandmothers, and stepmothers, and mothers-in-law, and other maternal figures who have a significant impact in our lives. What? It is a day to appreciate and gratitude, provide gratitude to mothers for their love, care, and sacrifices. People often have given gifts, cards, flowers, special, but the inventor of the day said there's too much of that going on. Just love the mother. Just love a mother down. Right. When Mother's Day is typically celebrated at different dates around the world in many countries, including the United States, Canada, Australia, In much of Europe, Mother's Day is celebrated the second Sunday of May. However, some countries have different dates. For example, the United Kingdom, Mother's Day is celebrated the fourth Sunday of Lent, where Mother's Day is celebrated globally in various cultures and countries. It is a day of honoring the mothers for motherhood and motherhood recognition. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for all you mothers. Thank you for your belated day. And I want to say that um, y'all make it happen. And which gets me to a discussion about African Americans in the United States and healthcare disparities and our high mortality rates. Why do Black folks die earlier and quicker than most in the communities, in the same community where they're living? And some of the discussions were social and economic disparities. Historically, ongoing racial discriminations have resulted in significant social and economic disparities between Black and white Americans. These disparities manifest in areas such as income, education, employment, opportunities, and access to quality health care. So, why am I bringing this up? Because no person is an island. And the whole idea of the rewriting of history and the writing us out of history has to do with your conscience, your social conscience, your belief in right and wrong, your belief in fairness, your understanding of history, your understanding of slavery in 1619. So when you say it's about what I'm not doing, I say it's about what's been done to me. And like this young brother in this document say, you don't even know me. You don't even know me. These disparities often manifest in the areas of income, education, employment opportunities, and access to quality health care. Lower socioeconomic status is associated with higher mortality rates, as individuals may face barriers to accessing health care, experience higher levels of stress, and have limited resources for preventative care. And let me say this now: we are in a problem. We are in a problem discussion around healthcare in the system. We don't have enough providers. We don't have enough specialists. The insurance companies are squeezing every dollar they can out. They've changed documentation requirements, which I think is a good idea in regards to providing a treatment plan that says that this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, and this is the plan for your blood pressure, diabetes, weight, mental health challenge. If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail, I would say. And I think that's where we're at. Limited access to health care. Black individuals have historically faced limited access to healthcare services due to discriminatory practices, including segregation, hospitals and clinics, denial of service, and healthcare provider bias. This limited access has resulted in delayed diagnosis, inadequate treatment, and poor health outcomes. And I would say that it's just not African Americans. There's a recent study published in Santa Clara County in regards to healthcare disparities in Hispanic Americans and English as a second language. Well, welcome to the club. It's always existed. It's just now you've been patient and tried to understand why services aren't being provided to the community, and you realize they didn't want them provided in the first place, and now there's an issue because a lot of people have died waiting for proper care. Environmental factors. So we have socioeconomic disparities, we have limited access to healthcare, we have environmental factors, we have healthcare disparities. Environmental factors. Black communities have often been disproportionately exposed to environmental hazards such as pollution, toxic waste sites, and unhealthy living conditions. These environments These environmental factors can contribute to the higher rates of chronic disease and health problems, including respiratory issues and cardiovascular disease and cancer. And I wanted you to put yourself in the feet of the homeless individuals that are being swept up around the Bay Area and what that means for their health, what that means for them in general. We're going to see, because like anything else, it's going to bust at the seams. So I applaud the mayors of all the various cities that are offering shelter to those that need it, but I'm not applauding those making it a criminal offense for you not to have a place to live. I think that's not good at all. And that says that we are becoming a less empathetic and less understanding society so we can have a clean street. But I don't know what a clean street means with a dirty mind. Health disparities. Persistent racial bias and stereotypes within the healthcare system can lead to disparities in treatment and healthcare outcomes. Implicit biases held by healthcare providers can result in inadequate treatment, underdiagnosis, undertreatment of certain conditions, and among Black individuals. This can lead to poor health outcomes and higher death rates. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen the effects of poor care, of disingenuous care, of care as usual, as pill care, not getting to know and understand the person and what brings them in, assumptions about them, assumption what they want in terms of pain medicines or whatever. What it is. This is Believe Radio, 24-hour gospel radio channel. I'm George Pearson, I'm a physician's assistant, and I want to say a special shout out to Dr. Michael Lenore and his wife. Dr. Lenore, hope things are going well. Thank you for being the person that you are. He and I are starting a collaboration about we call them health minutes. I'll be on one side of the ledger, he'll be on the other side talking about health concerns, the issues, and access. Look forward to bringing that to you. I'm placing on the website, be placing on the Facebook channel. We'll see how it goes. I think you folks like it. And if you want to get more in depth, you come here. Well, mental health is May is Mental Health Month. Governor Newsom announced mental health .cal.gov, a new state website offering life-saving resources. Links again, it's mentalhealth.ca.gov. That's spelled mentalhealth.ca.gov. There's mental health in America is at a crossroads, and we have to be able to handle this intergenerational trauma, this depression, this anxiety, this bipolar, this schizophrenia. We have to be able to handle ADHD. We have to be able to handle it. That's what people are. Learning some different things about medicines and who gets them, who don't, but yeah, it needs to be handled as best we can. And again, the mentalhealth.ca.gov is a mental health site for Californians, well, healthcare resources in California. It says new mentalhealth.ca.gov website helps Californians access support, provides transparency on Proposition 1 and California's transformation of behavioral health. Governor Newsom recently announced the launch of mentalhealth.ca.gov, a one-stop website making it available for a wide range of resources. It's now easier for Californians to connect with mental health services, including crisis services, counseling, and treatment, and real-time support, and specialized resources for children, youth, and older adults. That's significant because a lot of us are dealing with trauma, loss that we haven't really dealt with. And these resources are well needed. and will be welcome, I think, for a majority of people trying to get answers as opposed to being a problem. And again, and it's going to help everyone. It's going to help young adults, older California's parents, family, veterans. Again, California approved Part 1. Thank you, California, for thinking that mental health is so important you want to invest in it. And it matters because Governor Newsom is focused on results, transparency, accountability, particularly as the state implements Proposition 1 and transfers its mental health and substance use disorder treatments and support systems. Well, thank you guys for listening in. This is Believe Radio, 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Thanks for all the watchers. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Leave some comments. Let me know what's going on. You know, trying to do it. Got to keep doing it. If in a crisis, seek immediate help. Don't wait. Don't say that I can get this done by myself, because if you could, you wouldn't have called. So take the time to take care of yourself. That's important. It's important for all of us. All of us need to start practicing mental health. That's the other side of the coin. There's the medical side and the behavioral health side, the mental side. We tend in medicine to have not included them both in the same person. So the care was broken and disjointed. So you had a medical problem causing a mental health problem, or a mental health problem causing a medical problem, or both. Both. You can have both. I want to again thank everyone for tuning in, and appreciate all of you for sharing some time with me. I think the health minutes, and in this society where we're just so quick to be so dismissive and less empathy, and not understanding that, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and you know, we need to be present as best we can. The discussions that you might want to call in case there's an issue: 988 Suicide Crisis Hotline, Mobile Crisis Services. There's a 1-800 number. Don't feel like you're alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I'd have to say that what we have to be okay with is change and failure and haters. And so I only say this as a backdrop to a story about what would you do if you had a person or persons in your life that were sabotaging you but claiming to be your friend. And when you find out that's why you didn't get the job, that's why you weren't able to make the connection, that this person had essentially muddied the waters about you in your life and in the dealings for the last 20 years. What would you do? How would you react? Well, I said, you better check yourself, because vengeance doesn't help, and that's not your right for vengeance. I always say that, as my dad would say and my stepdad would say, that to let it play itself out and not miss your blessing, as my mom would say. So in this situation, I decided to be silent and sit back and watch, because if I were to go and say this person was doing all these things, they would have called me a hater, that I was jealous, and all the things that they said. So sometimes you can't convince people what's right or wrong. because they want what they want. So 90% of folks voted for the current person in office, and now they're getting the leadership that they asked for. Anyway. So I would like to say that take care of your mental health. Take care of yourself. May is Mental Health Month, and we want to address the stigma. We want to address the trauma. And we will continue to grow. We'll continue to move forward, and we'll continue to make these things the best we can. And one of the things that folks don't want to do as mental health challenges is deal with the stigma. Stigma is one of the biggest challenges in mental health. It's the stigma surrounding mental illness. The stigma that can prevent a person from seeking help. It leads to discrimination and perpetuate misconceptions about mental health conditions. Access to care. Access to mental health care remains a significant concern globally. And the reason why it is because providers don't want to deal with their own mental health challenges and be honest about them and deal with them. And say, boy, I've been depressed. Boy, I've been anxious. Boy, I've been worried. Boy, I've grieved. Boy, I've lost a parent. Because you have. And so we have to be okay with being not okay to be okay, if that makes sense. And again, not enough providers, lack of individuals that want to deal with mental health concerns. But we have folks like Dee Flanagan that I went on and gotten mental health licensing to go deal with young kids and incarcerated. Congratulations. And oh, wow, wait, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Dee Flanagan. May you have many more. And your mom, too. Wish happy birthday to your mom. All the mothers, happy birthday. Parthena, thank you. Vashti, thank you. Vashti Smith, McClendon. To all my folks on Facebook and Deborah Smith, thank you, Mom. And I want to a special shout out to Kenyana's mother, Stella Nevada Gray. I want to thank her for carrying our son for the time that she carried him and brought him to birth. It was a tough pregnancy for her, I understand. And I wasn't always as supportive as I should have been. That's what you learn as you mature. Suicide prevention. Suicide is a tragic outcome of untreated mental health conditions. Suicide prevention, that's our holy grail. When we can prevent suicide, we've done our job, or a part of it anyway. Want to also mental health for youth. That's an area where our mental health system is lacking. It lacks with our older population. It lacks with our children. And substance abuse and mental health is a strong correlation between substance abuse disorders and mental health issues. Addressing both issues concurrently is crucial for effective treatment and recovery. Trauma and PTSD. Trauma, whether from a single event or prolonged exposure, can have profound effects on your mental health. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a common consequence of experiencing trauma that requires specialized care. It ain't just depression and anxiety anymore. It's understanding the levels of understanding the 5 stages of change and how we have to think about something, think about it again. Then we did a plan. Then we acted. Then we do that plan, and we keep repeating success, or we fail. You can always do that. Mental health in the workplace. Work-related stresses, burnout, discrimination can also impact mental health in the workplace. Promoting supportive work environments and implementing mental health initiatives can mitigate these instances. Hey, look at the last couple of years, been a lot of workplace shootings because those persons felt unheard, not respected, so they came back with a vengeance. They came back and shut the workplace up. Would it be better to talk to that person or give them some counseling or give them some time off? Because when they didn't do that, that person came back, made the make the organization sick and killed people and traumatized it. Mental health and the pandemic. COVID changed everything. COVID has exacerbated existing mental health challenges and created some new ones. Issues such as social isolation, grief, economic uncertainty, and fear of illness have had widespread impacts on our mental health and well-being. And again, our children suffer. They're just starting to get caught up in terms of education and learning. And for those that are teaching and learning, take your time, be patient. A lot of things have happened for folks to be traumatized. And the way you see things may not be the way people see things that it's happened to, regardless of what you think. So, again, May is Mental Health Month. And again, seek care, talk to family, talk to friends. Don't hurt yourself, don't harm yourself. You feel that way, go to the emergency room. Call a family friend, have them take you. Got to get off the phone and go call some folks right now. But that's what it is. Either have contact or no contact. It says mental health illnesses are common in the United States. It's estimated that more than 1 in 5 U.S. adults lived with a mental health illness. That's 57.8 million people in 2021. Mental illness includes many different conditions that vary in degree of severity, ranging from mild to moderate to severe. Two broad categories can be used to describe these conditions, and it's as called as any mental illness and serious mental illness. Any mental illness encompasses all recognized mental illnesses. Serious mental illness is a smaller, more severe subset of any mental illness. And I think that we have to be okay with not being okay. And in the past year, in regards to any mental illness, it says that in 2021 there were estimated 57.8 million adults aged 18 and over in the United States with any mental illness. This number represents 22.8% of all U.S. adults. So almost 1/4 of adults have a mental health challenge. 1 in 4, right? Have experienced, adverse childhood trauma. That's 16% with 4 average childhood, right for mental health challenges. The prevalence of any mental illness was higher among females than males. Now, I don't think that's true. Women talk and they want to communicate more, men don't. Men are very successful at suicide. Very successful. They don't miss most of the time. In some of these cases where you see these men are going out and having guns and coaxing on police to kill them, I think it's called fratricide, where you want someone to kill you because you're tired of living, and you're worth more money dead than alive. I want to thank Janelle Hester and her family. Good Mother's Day to them. Parthena Hester, the mother, the patriarch. Beautiful family. Thank them. Love them all. I think that we always need to honor folks that have honored us and take care of folks that have taken care of us. And take care of yourself. You have to. You're the only you left. If you fall, everything falls. Thanks, Mom. So I think that we have a discussion not only about any mental illness, but also severe mental illness. In 2021, there were about 14.1% million adults aged 18 or older in the United States with severe mental illness. That's the person you see on the street talking to himself. Gets hospitalized, police pull him up. That's serious mental illness. California's gone a far way to dealing with this. Well, you may not like it, but again, between the two tools in terms of removing homelessness, folks, and dealing with mental health illnesses. If you don't want to get treated, you have a chance of being incarcerated across the state. Then it's going to change the picture of what we call care and treatment. We'll see. We have a law that says you can't be on the streets. You got a law that says you can't have a mental challenge or be in public and not be treated. We'll see how that works out. I've got about 2 minutes. I want to thank you for watching, and I really, really, really appreciate all the love, all the everything. We ran the show over a little bit longer because when we can't get the media stuff going, I get a special call from the leadership to go ahead on and keep run my full time, which I'm really happy about that. Appreciate that. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being who you are. I'm going to close the show out by saying Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the world. And Miss Howard, Happy Mother's Day to you and your sisters. She'll be back next week with Conscious Voices. Look forward to seeing her, and thanks for listening.